I've never worked with a member of the Beatles or the Rolling Stones.
Really?
Yes.
None of them?
Yes, but I first want to say that I want to compliment you on everything you're doing here.
Aww.
It's really, really wonderful. It's like a cross between Robin Bird and Uncle Floyd.
That works. That sounds good. Do I have to get naked now?
No, no.
I don't know about the Robin Bird reference. I mean,
I'm just kidding. I'm not. Trust me. But
although I'm not as a fan of Robin Bird, but
I think she's amazing.
I like her too.
She's still on.
I know, and somewhere in Miami, right?
It's like I don't even understand how she does it.
God bless her.
I know. It's a Robin Bird.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Look at that.
Throw money. Robin Bird. Exactly. And Uncle Floyd, and yeah, I've heard that before, actually.
Well, that's a compliment.
It is a compliment. I appreciate it. So, all right, let's talk about what you've done, because you have a very lucrative, juicy past.
I've been fortunate enough to have been in working in the music industry since I was 16 years old.
How'd you fall into it?
I called my favorite rock magazine, which at the time was Trouser Press magazine, because it's been around for a long, long time. And this would be the summer of 1978, and I asked them if they needed an office boy. And they did, and I came in and I started working, and they liked my writing, so I started writing for them.
Wow, it sounds like Almost Famous, almost.
It was, you know, shortly after that, I began being a pretty successful journalist, working for Trouser Press and the Village Voice and the Daily News and a few other papers, and an English weekly magazine called Sounds. So I suppose there were a lot of comparisons. I was very young, only I was covering sort of good punk rock bands instead of old heavy metal bands.
Right. Can you name like a couple of your favorite ones that you... And you only, like, so were you allowed to go see them play? Like, did you get like press pass and they didn't bother you for ID like it is today?
As I'm sure like these gentlemen or a lot of other people here will remember, in 1980...
It was 18.
In 1980,
right? Was it in 80? I don't remember.
You know, I went to Max's and Hurrah and Tier 3 and a million.
I don't remember being interrogated at the
and a million other clubs
no.
6 nights a week, and I literally do not remember once being carded.
I
can't remember.
I feel so hard for the kids.
You know, I've been going to Max's since I was 16 years old.
When we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
No one knew where we were. We didn't need ID.
They thought they knew where we were.
Yeah, it was such a lovely time.
You know, I was going to a lot of clubs.
Nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of bad happened, but you know, here we are. Yeah, we write songs about it. Exactly, I know.
And now we tweet about it.
Well, you do the use, but you have nothing really to hold on us.
Hey!
We didn't tweet about it.
Yeah.
Which is
Exactly. That's why we have skeletons. All right, but back to you. So you went to clubs every night.
Well, it was my job.
And you wrote.
I mean, I just was fortunate enough. I mean, there was a guy at an English newspaper named Gary Bushell who worked for Sounds.
I remember Sounds.
He was an editor of that, and he really liked my writing, so I started writing for them when I was about 17. And Robert Christgau really liked me, so I started writing for him when I was about 17 or 18.
Wow.
And then I was just, no, I never wrote for Cream, oddly enough. Just the Village Voice and Daily News and heavy metal, and mostly wrote about punk rock bands and noise bands. I was very early, I think, on the New York noise scene.
Do you like television?
Oddly enough, I would say that I didn't.
Really?
Yeah, I always thought there was this big division in New York City between what I considered... I was interested in the bands that played 3 chords. I really was.
Right.
And I was interested in the English bands that played 3 chords. I mean, I admired what, say, Television and Talking Heads did, but it wasn't my thing.
Right.
It really wasn't my thing. I much preferred like the English bands like the Damned with Stiff Little Fingers.
Yeah.
And, you know...
The Ramones.
And the Ramones. I wasn't into the more arty side of punk.
Sophisticated punk.
Though in 1981, when right here, a few blocks from here, bands like Sonic Youth and Rat R and the Swans.
So what's up with Sonic Youth?
I really don't know. I haven't talked to them.
I heard that they're splitting up.
I really don't know. I mean, I was sort of a roadie of theirs around 1982.
Okay.
1981. I was in a band with Thurston in 1981. And I probably saw their first 40 shows and have not seen them since. Okay.
All right.
I've not seen them since 1983.
Wow.
Oddly enough. I mean, and I would say I saw 40 shows before then.
Wow.
When there weren't... I mean, Sonic Youth are an interesting story in so much as they played for, and I think for any young band, it's an interesting story. They played for 3 or 4 years without anyone paying attention to them. Then all of a sudden the rock critics jumped on them, If you saw a gig of them between 1981 and 1983, there weren't more than 12 people in the room.
Oh, how reassuring that is.
And they played for 3 years before anyone.
That's not that long.
Yeah. And then in 1983, I decided that I had enough of journalism. And,
so then what'd you do?
I joined the band.
But what you forgot about your shows?
Oh, I had a radio show on WNYU
Okay.
that just played hardcore and punk rock.
Nice.
Called Noise the Show. And that was in 1981, and I think it introduced a lot of people in New York City to hardcore
So that was like
music.
around when MTV was starting, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So, like, was MTV on your tail?
Well,
No, not yet.
Well, he did end up working at MTV.
I did end up working at MTV, but that wasn't until much later.
And what'd you do there?
I was a writer, and I was a news VJ.
So did you work with Kurt Loder?
Yes, very
So,
close.
because Kurt Loder, didn't he have something to do with NYU too?
No,
No.
no.
Because I had a friend, Susie, that was at NYU, and
Though oddly, Kurt did have to do a trouser press. When Kurt was still in the Army, he was writing for trouser press. This would be around 1978.
okay.
So I did a radio show, and I did a lot of club DJing.
Like with Allison Stewart?
Yes, I knew Allison very well.
I knew Allison.
She actually started as my intern.
Oh, she's nice.
Yeah.
I knew her a little bit
Yeah.
too.
In you know, in 1981, I was doing a lot of club DJing too. I would DJ at Irving Plaza in the Mud Club,
I
and
love
Peppermint
Mud.
Lounge, Danceteria. Kind of whenever they would have a punk rock show, they'd hire me.
Wow, I probably was
Yes.
in clubs when
Yeah.
you were playing.
And then in 1983, I was offered the chance. There's a wonderful, wonderful avant-garde noise musician named Glenn Branca, and in 1983, Thurston Moore and Lee Ronaldo, who had been playing with Glenn, left his band, and they recommended me for a spot in the band, and I just left, and I did that for a couple of years.
What'd you play?
Whatever Glenn needed, which was mostly guitar and bass.
So how many instruments do you play?
Mostly just bass.
Okay.
I mean, Glenn has a particular weird form of guitar playing. You don't really need to play guitar to play as well.
Huh.
And then in shortly after that, in 1984, I formed my own little avant-pop group called Hugo Largo, which was, I think, a little bit ahead of its time. I've heard us described as the godfathers of slowcore, whatever that is.
I'd venture to say it was a lot ahead of its time.
It was a
Very influential.
quiet, very intense, very quiet band. And we did pretty well. It was we were very, very fortunate. And we were signed to one of
So
our
do you feel like you're one of those people that like are just fortunate all the time?
No. I feel that if you combine good ideas with hard work, I mean, if you have an original idea, and you're willing to pretend it's something everyone would be interested in, I mean, that's a trick with original ideas. You have to have like an original idea, something that you're very passionate about. Then you have to be willing to get up early in the morning and sell it. And you know, I was very fortunate. I formed a very, very strange band that had 2 bass players and a violin player and a woman vocalist. And within 2 years, we were working with Brian Eno and Simon Waterhunters.
Wow.
And so I was very fortunate in so much as I thought I had an original idea. I mean, I don't want to be arrogant about it.
Right. No, you're not actually, but it's just interesting because like all the things you're saying, you keep saying I was fortunate. Like, do you just feel like you're one of the lucky ones?
No.
Do you have any bad luck ever?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really?
I mean, it's like,
Yay! Well, we all need bad
He has
luck to have
bad
good luck.
luck.
I'm happy for him.
for instance, when I was 15, and I picked up the phone to call Trouser Press. Well, actually, I picked up the phone and first I called Punk Magazine, and
Okay.
they hung up on me.
Okay.
And right away I
Good.
called.
That's what I want to hear.
And right away I
That's
called
what I
Trouser,
mean.
and right away I called Trouser Press.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's like,
exactly what I mean.
you have to have the
You
nerve.
make your good luck.
You have to have the nerve to call Trouser
Exactly.
Press. Yeah.
All right, that's good. That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
So I
Yeah.
manufactured
Skeleton.
the luck and then put a lot of hard work in it. But I also am a great believer that
Persistence.
in making strange art and selling it very aggressively,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So do you have, what are you doing today?
For the last couple of years, I've been mentoring The Indecent, which is the band that Jennifer's children
The
in.
band that I birthed,
Yes.
minus the drummer.
Triplets.
And that was another fortunate situation. I mean, you know, we developed this band for 2 years, and they were doing something original. They were doing aggressive, poetic music.
Yes.
And Warner Brothers found them, and Warner Brothers came across them and signed them. And that's very fortunate.
So awesome.
And I'm making my own records, which is a combination of space rock and American folk music.
Is it solo?
No, I mean, it's with a whole bunch of people.
Right.
It's going to be put out under the name Uncommon Folk.
Nice.
It's got some really amazing people on it.
I mean, I wanted to take very strange avant-garde music that I love,
Right.
and I wanted to combine it with American folk music, and then I wanted to bring in wonderful American singers, and so far we've brought in Glenn Campbell and White Walls of Alabama.
Glenn Campbell?
Wow.
And Mavis Staples and Jacob Dylan and Robin Zander.
Wow.
We've been very, very fortunate. Jennifer is an executive producer of that record.
Nice. Nice.
That's what I do as a psychologist. I'm a great psychologist, as you do.
Well,
psychologist, same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knew?
So, do you have a skeleton from your closet
Sure.
you'd like to share? Let's hear it.
Kids are watching.
Actually, they're not.
Oh, they're not.
They will later.
Oh,
I discovered Hootie and the Blowfish.
You
Oh,
did? That's a skeleton?
Sure.
And why is that? What happened to them?
Because
That's
I was,
why.
Did they blow up?
because I was always sort of a very credible person. I mean, I was.
They were like the preppy band.
I mean, I was always involved in very strange music and very strange punk rock, and a record label hired me. Atlantic Records hired me in 1992 to find strange, credible music for them. And I happened to walk into a bar in South Carolina and saw Hootie and the Blowfish and thought they were A, the nicest band I've ever met, B, had amazing songs, C, had an amazing singer, D, I'd never met a bunch of people who loved REM so much. And so we got to talking and I signed them to Atlantic Records.
Wow. They were lucky.
So I'm proud of that, but I'd still, a lot of people would still consider it a skeleton in the closet.
Yeah, very cool.
Hey, well, so you have some NaT'L PeKinG DuCK.
Oh, sure.
Oh, good.
Yay!
Because this is,
Is it really National PeKinG DuCK?
it is. I would not make this up, trust me. It's a very difficult one today. National duck sauce on a quacker. Yeah, there you go. How is it?
It's fun.
Yay! So are there any last shout-outs you have? Any, exactly.
No, except I want to say to these guys that there's always room for what you guys do. I mean, good old-fashioned, just like, you know,
Rock and roll.
Punk rock and blues,
yeah.
baby.
There's
So
always.
introduce us to Glenn Campbell.
Pardon?
So introduce us to Glenn Campbell.
I don't think I need to be introduced to anybody these days, but.
Aww.
But you never know. You might run into him just walking down the street, and then you can introduce yourself to Glenn Campbell.
Because Glenn Campbell played guitar on Tequila.
Yes, you did. I knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, you got some Glenn Campbell fans there. That's good. He's
Rock
a
and
cool
roll
guy.
fans.
Yeah. Well, thank you for visiting, and you know, anytime you are always
Well, thank you.
welcome. Thank you. Yes. We'll be back.